Hey, what's going on, Durkee in Korea and everybody out there in YouTube land? I wanted to give a video reply to your one of your recent videos, the 5 things you still don't understand about Korea. Now, I am by no means an expert on Korea. I've been living here for about 3 years, so I do have a little bit of experience. It sounds like somewhat similar to the experience you have. I think I do have a little bit of insight, and I'll go ahead and let you know. I started with the food, the whole food being warm or cold, or room temperature, foods that you think should be hot. Now, I don't know, I'm speculating on this, so don't take it with a grain of salt. But we had this issue at the school I worked at last year, and some of the food, which would be like a pork patty, breaded pork patty, would come out and it'd be like room temperature. And something like that you would kind of want to be hot as an example. So in the school I was at last year, and in other places in Korea as well, I've uh, experienced what you talked about on your video a number of times. And what I'm gonna guess that's about is that there's a lot of Korea is so health conscious. There's a lot of I guess idea or a lot of cultural ideas floating around about digestion, and they may very well be true. I'm no nutritionist, no biologist or anything like that. Don't know anything about digestion, uh, but I've heard of a lot of people in Korea and and I've actually been to the doctor at one point and had some stomach issues for about a week or so. And then the doctor was telling me about don't drink warm liquids in the winter and cold liquids in the summer. So it's part of their medicine. The whole drinking the appropriate temperature. Uh, so I'm not sure if that's why they actually the food that you're experiencing is actually done that way, or if it's just, hey, we don't want to spend the money to keep the server plates hot to keep the food warm, or we don't have the resources to do that. Don't know exactly what it is, but I just thought that would be a possible answer, that whole digestion and related to health could be at least part of the explanation. Uh, and then as far as in Seoul, and you're talking about how people would just kind of stop in the middle of uh, in the subway or right in front of you when you're walking down an escalator or something like that, without kind of consideration of what's happening behind them. Uh, I think that's part of a bigger part of just a bigger aspect of Korean culture. Uh, and you kind of see it in the way that the traffic flows. If you ever trying to driven anywhere, or you've ever been on a bus or in somebody else's car, it's just kind of the way that Korean people, South people in South Korea, or a lot of them, uh, move or flow through society, whether it be in traffic, whether it be in foot traffic, whether it be driving, whether it be getting on the bus, whether it be approaching a ticket counter. I've had plenty of people just walk straight up. I'll be standing in line, and what to me would be, indicating that I'm clearly in line here, waiting to be next to the ticket office, and have people just disregard me and come right in front of me. Uh, and I don't know if they were intentionally being rude or if I was just being my typical laid back American from the Southeast United States, where you can just stand a couple feet back. You got the big space around you. Korean people usually, when they're trying to get service or get into a bus or something like that, uh, it's kind of a rush. Everybody rushes forward to the front. And I see that a lot on the bus, and it's more prevalent up north. I spent my first year up north, uh, and it seems to be a little more like that, and that makes sense because it's a colder climate. Uh, so I definitely understand what you're talking about, and I think what you were talking about is part of that kind of overall aspect of Korean culture. And again, we're totally throwing a dart here and uh, guessing at what that might have to do with. But, as you probably know yourself, the Korea's wealth and Korea's success as an economy is a relatively new thing. The change after the war from today came extremely fast. So you have a culture very close, an older culture or an older part of the population, very used to things, any food or anything nice in life being not easy to come by, and you really, I guess they really had. How do I? How do I want to say this? Is really life was hard, and food and things were not really easy to come by, and keeping yourself warm and staying alive and getting the basic necessities of life were not really easy after the war. And then the economic development came really rapidly, and all of a sudden there's a lot of resources in Korea for the Korean people to enjoy. And but the whole culture of, I think it takes time for the culture to adjust and to adapt to that. When you imagine that when you're in a culture where the food and the resources are very scarce, you really can't be kind of hyper vigilant or hyper concerned with everybody around you. You kind of have to survive first, and then once you're at a point where you feel like you're surviving, well, maybe then you start thinking more about others. So that's just my off the wall theory. Who knows? I mean, whatever. So those are my thoughts, but you're definitely not alone in your observations, and it's an interesting conversation. So thanks for bringing it up. As to K-pop or Korean pop music, I have absolutely no idea. Don't like pop music in general, except for the occasional song that comes out. I'll take a liking to it, but I have absolutely no input whatsoever on pop music or Korean pop music, except that I know a lot of Korean people really love it. So anyway, thanks for the video, Durkee, and hope everybody out there is doing well, having happy holidays, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.